Hey everyone, it's me Jerron, and I am back per usual, several weeks late with another video. Today, taking you through more of my wrestling collection. You've seen some of my belts and things of that nature, so now I'm going to take you to a different part of my wrestling collectibles, the DVD collection. As many of you wrestling fans know, WWE, being that they acquire the video libraries of World Championship Wrestling, Extreme Championship Wrestling, AWA, pretty much, Jim Crockett Promotions, pretty much every great wrestling organization that ever existed, WCW now owns their tape libraries, being that they are the only really #1 wrestling promotion in the world. And today I'm going to take you through some of my WWE DVDs. These are pretty much all of them. I have some more on the ground, which I will cover. I'm just going to kind of take you through a few of them and just tell you what I like about them. I don't buy every WWE DVD, of course. I usually wait months after the ones I really want, after they're released, so I can get them on Amazon and eBay for a very cheap price. But I've been kind of getting a lot lately. I bought two. These are last, I believe, of 3 weeks. I have some more on the ground, which I will cover. I'm just going to kind of take you through a few of them and just tell you what I like about them. I don't buy every WWE DVD, of course. I usually wait months after the ones I really want, after they're released, so I can get them on Amazon and eBay for a very cheap price. But I've been kind of getting a lot lately, and I've bought two within the last, I believe, 3 week span. So I guess I've had so much free time on my hands lately, I've been able to watch a few more DVDs. But I'm just going to get into some of the ones I have and just explain why I like them so much. And I'm going to start off with the one I got most recently, which is the new Edge DVD. You know me, of course. That's the beginning of, Edge's famous entrance theme. The Story of Edge, 3-disc collection. Take a look at the back of the cover, and this is the first. And I love the little side image too, right there, of Edge with the belt on the sleeve. Pretty cool. And this is the first DVD of bio of Edge. For those of you that have really been kind of noticing and paying closer attention to WWE lately, DVDs, it seems like they're really getting back into the biography side of DVDs. There was a period when they were releasing DVDs of guys like Austin, Rock, and they even released the Edge DVD back in 2008, which was nothing but matches. And to me, the best thing I love about WWE DVDs are the incredible documentaries. That's what really makes it. You can watch any match on YouTube these days, and most WWE DVDs have the same matches on them as previous releases. So I really enjoyed this, and I really like Edge. He's one of my all-time favorites, and it's a great DVD. Great biography. You get to hear in depth from people close to him in the business. His best friend Christian, his mother, his trainer Ron Hutchison, Sweet Daddy Siki, as well as current WWE guys like Chris Jericho, CM Punk, John Cena, just really sharing their stories about the man and why he's one of the best performers in the history of WWE. And after watching this DVD, one thing that just really stuck out to me is that Edge really, I think, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated guys in the history of WWE. Whenever you hear about the all-time greatest WWE stars, of course you hear about Rock, Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, and as far as from wrestling perspective, guys like Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and even guys like Triple H. But I mean, when you really look at Edge's career, the time he was in WWE from the late, I think he debuted in late 1998 up until his retirement last year, and everything he accomplished, 11 times champion, revolutionizing the ladder match, just classic matches with so many different opponents. And just the way that he retired, on top of his game, being one of the few wrestlers ever to retire as a world champion in WWE. And inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, youngest guy ever. Edge, really, Royal Rumble winner, King of the Ring, most tag team title reigns in company history. The guy is really, in my opinion, one of the most underrated wrestler probably of all time. He's a tremendous star, left a legacy in the business, and this DVD is just tremendous. I recommend all fans to watch it, to purchase it. It just came out, $19.99, so I'm sure the price will go down in the subsequent weeks on, on websites like Amazon and things of that nature. But great DVD. Enjoyed it. I may watch it again later today. The only thing I, of course, don't like, and this is the current state of things. I'm going to put this. Yeah, let me kind of leave it right here so it can't stay up. Well, maybe not. My arm's getting a little tired. But, well, let me put it down here. But the only thing that I don't like about the DVD is that it's really a trend that's becoming obvious now, in that WWE, I guess, is slowly phasing out DVDs. Now, not like they, VHS tapes were about, a decade plus ago, but you can really tell that they're putting more emphasis on their Blu-ray releases, because the Blu-ray release of this video contains his retirement speech from Raw last year. It contains the entire Edge Appreciation Night celebration, which took place off the air on SmackDown last September. And it also contains, I think, more matches, just more extra interviews and moments. And for a 3-disc DVD, it's pretty bare on the extras, in my opinion. I mean, you have, matter of fact, we can take a look inside and see the, and I just love that photo right there, pretty cool. As you can see, you have, Disc 1, the documentary, which is awesome, and you have, I think, 5 special features, and you have, I believe, in all, on the other 2 discs, you have, I believe, about 12 extra matches, and they're matches that, most of us have already seen. Of course, they have his ladder TLC match with John Cena from 2006. They have his, they don't have a lot of TLC matches. They do have a match he had, a very good match, good tag team match involving him and Christian against the Hardy Boys, Too Cool, and Albert and Tess from the King of the Ring in 2000. They have the Eddie Guerrero match from 2002 on SmackDown, which is really a big match in Edge's singles career at that point in time. But really, I was looking for more. I was looking for some more matches that I hadn't seen before. Now, they do have a match from his pre-WWE career, early in his career, with Christian from the independent scene. I haven't watched that, but I'm very much looking forward to watching it. But I guess I was just kind of expecting to have some more, just great matches, because Edge has had so many awesome matches, and I guess expecting some new stuff, but at the same time, not a bad DVD at all. Now let me continue with another recent one I just got. Let me back up, the camera's a little too close. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the bottom line on the most popular superstar of all time. And ladies and gentlemen, this is one of, if not, I'll go on record of saying it, this is the greatest documentary of a single wrestler that WWE's ever produced. And I think most fans who watch this would agree. Now, the opposite of the Edge DVD, this DVD is rather substantive for the DVD release. It's on Blu-ray as well, but the DVD release definitely doesn't disappoint. It's 4-disc, and the documentary is just, let me just get into it. The documentary, what makes the documentary so good is that it's 100% real. And it's the first documentary that Austin's ever done on his entire career, which is quite astonishing, being that there have probably been a good 10 DVD releases of Austin over the last probably 12, 13 years or so. And there's never been a actual full-length career biography. And this is just, it's filled with people from all over the wrestling industry. Vince McMahon, Paul Heyman, Dutch Mantell, people he worked with in WCW, and it's just really candid, and that's the thing that just really sets this apart. And you have people who were with him during his running days, Rock, Chris Jericho, Bret Hart, all of them just giving their perspective on what made Steve Austin the most iconic and popular wrestler in the history of the business. And there's a touching moment on the DVD towards the end where Bret Hart says one of the most poignant lines of the entire entire biography when he says that guys like, if guys like Luthez and Pat O'Connor, who are legendary NWA champions, wrestling champions from back in the day, he said if they were still alive, they would probably like to shake Austin's hand and let Austin know that he's one of them in their category or their league. And for Bret Hart, a guy with his type of legacy in the business, to say that about Austin, it was just the icing on the cake. And that was when I really, watching that moment on the DVD just really made you realize you were watching the story of arguably the greatest wrestler of all time. And when you talk about, when you talk about business record set, record attendance, record ratings, the most financially successful period in wrestling history, and the wrestler who has sold the most more merchandise than any wrestler in history, Steve Austin is at the top of that list. But this was just an excellent DVD. I really don't want to spend too much time talking about it, but I recommend that any WWE fan, any wrestling fan should go out and get this DVD immediately. The documentary is over 2 hours. It's close to I think the 2.5 hour neighborhood. So it's not just a brief, talking about certain points in his career we all know about. But this, you really just get a glimpse into who Steve Austin really is, and it is just excellent. Can't say enough about it. Now this is a DVD that a lot of people may not know about because you don't really see it in a lot of retail stores, but I first discovered this at a local used bookstore, and then I went on Amazon and ordered it, and it was like super cheap. I think like less than maybe $5. But this is the Legends of Wrestling, and for those of you who I guess watch WWE 24/7 or had that subscription service, basically what these are is a series of roundtable discussions moderated by Jim Ross or sometimes Gene Okerlund on various topics from wrestling history. And the panel usually consists of guys, at least on this DVD, it consisted of backstage producer and Michael P.S. Hayes of the legendary Fabulous Freebirds tag team, Pat Patterson, Dusty Rhodes, and just many of the biggest names in wrestling history, and talking frankly about wrestling issues. And what makes these things so great is that they're talking just real, very frankly. They are have cigars, smoking as they're talking. They're totally breaking that fourth wall of wrestling. There is no kayfabe. There is no no illusions that the business is fake. They're talking about real stuff, real backstage problems, very sensitive political issues in the business, and it's just great to hear basically a group of guys sitting around telling war stories. And this set features 3 DVDs. And the DVDs are Heat Seekers, which is the center, which discusses the wrestlers who have infamous reputations backstage for their backstage politics. Hope I'm not getting spit on my camera. The other one in here is, and then the other features stars from the 1980s discussing their impact on the business. And the first one's on Jerry King Lawler, of course, current Raw commentator, and Junkyard Dog, one of the biggest African American stars in wrestling history. And the other, of course, legendary Ric Flair and Sergeant Slaughter. Very great. And I love watching this because I watch a lot of it on YouTube as well. They have so many different Legends of Wrestling shows on so many different topics, so I encourage you to definitely check this out. They have a ton more of these DVDs as well on Amazon. This is the only set that has 3 of them together, but they even have more recent ones. I think they've had recent discussions up to a few months ago on YouTube. I saw some more recent ones, so definitely just go online and search for Legends of Wrestling, go to YouTube and check it out, because you won't be disappointed. 15 minutes to go in this video. Let me kind of hurry up. Ric Flair, the Ric Flair Definitive Collection, excellent DVD. If you are a Ric Flair fan or a fan of old school territorial wrestling, NWA wrestling from the 80s, this is the DVD for you. And as you can see, the cover just, what can you say about Ric Flair that hasn't been said? Our greatest, most influential wrestler of all time by far. And this DVD was the one that was released in 2008 following his retirement from WWE. And let me look at the disc as well, because these discs are just so beautiful. Just the regal, elegant tone that they're in, you know, just so fitting for Ric Flair. But this is a great DVD. Another, like I said again, one of the better DVDs they've done on a single wrestler before. Just great. You know, I love Ric Flair, and I just love learning stuff about him and watching anything about him. And this is, in my opinion, probably the best Ric Flair DVD they've done. Just haven't done many, but it's excellent. Great documentary. I believe the documentary clocks in it right at maybe 2 hours. Ton of great matches and things, so very recommended. Bret Hart Collection. Best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. This came out in 2005. Not going to say more about that, you know, because it's pretty old, but once again, just great story of the, you know, what Vince McMahon calls, who Vince McMahon calls the greatest in-the-ring storyteller in WWE history. Raw 15th Anniversary Collection. I bought this for some reason. Had some good moments, but it's stuff that you've probably seen millions of times already. You know, great box, cool package. The ladder match DVD. Now, I probably got more mileage out of this DVD than any other that I've watched. I think this is far superior to the recent Ladder Match 2 compilation that came out last year. There are, I mean, literally every match on here is a classic. You have, and the great thing about this too, that I really am thankful for, is that this DVD was made, and this DVD was released in early 2007, before Chris Benoit killed himself and his family. So you get some of the greatest matches, 2 of the great ladder matches that Benoit was involved in on this DVD. And one is his awesome classic ladder match with Jericho from 2000, Royal Rumble 2001, and the other is his forgotten TLC match from SmackDown in 2001, which was a classic as well. I believe both of those matches were rated like 4 3/4 stars by Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer. And of course, anyone who's into the Wrestling Observer knows that, you know, the closest that a match can get is 5 stars. So both of those matches were 2 of the best matches of that year and of the last decade. There are just so many awesome matches. You have pretty much all of the TLC matches in here, from the Hardys, Edge and Christian Dudley feud. You have the awesome Eddie Guerrero RVD ladder match from Raw in 2002, Jeff Hardy against Undertaker in a TLC match, Triple H Rock ladder match from SummerSlam '98. You have a Bret Hart Shawn Michaels ladder match from the early '90s. Just tons of great matches in here. You also have, in what my opinion is one of the best, if not the best, ladder match in company history, you have the 7-man Raw Roulette TLC match from 2002, which was Kane defending his tag titles against Christian and Chris Jericho, RVD and Jeff Hardy, and Spike and Bubba Ray Dudley, which was a tremendous match. And just, it's about 20 matches, and you have the first Money in the Bank match from WrestleMania in 2005. I mean, just of course, you have the Cena Edge from 2006. So just a ton of classic matches in here. You can probably find this for definitely under $10 on, you know, Amazon. Got WrestleMania 27, last year's WrestleMania. My girlfriend got me this for my birthday, no, for Christmas last year. Great package, just really shiny and really cool. This was the 3-disc deluxe set, which includes the entire Hall of Fame ceremony from last year. Probably, in all, of course, not the greatest WrestleMania of all time. Definitely, I don't think, compared to this year's Mania. But, of course, you have Triple H and Taker, which was an awesome match. And I guess that match kind of made the show, more or less. But great DVD, though. The box is just really nice. Starrcade. Another one of my favorite DVDs. This is one of the shortest documentaries I've ever seen. The documentary clocks in at 45 minutes, going over the history of Starrcade, which was the mega card, basically the equivalent of WrestleMania for Jim Crockett Promotions and World Championship Wrestling. On the cover, you have Ric Flair, Sting, Dusty Rhodes, 3 of the biggest stars of, you know, World Championship Wrestling period. You have a ton of great matches from Starrcade. I believe it's close to maybe 20 matches. And the documentary is so good, of course, being that I'm from Greensboro, North Carolina, and I just attended the Monday Night Raw from the Coliseum on this past week. They really put over, Ric Flair and others put over how important the Greensboro Coliseum was in Starrcade, because the first Starrcade was from the Greensboro Coliseum in 1983. And Ric Flair just really puts over the Coliseum as one of the best wrestling arenas ever. So if for no other reason than that, every wrestling fan from North Carolina needs to buy this. But also, I just love anything dealing with, NWA from the 80s, and early 90s. Chris Jericho, another one of my favorite DVDs and one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Chris Jericho. This was the first documentary of his career. Came out in 2010, a 3-disc set which contains a ton of good matches. Chris Jericho's always been one of my favorites, and I was so thrilled when this DVD came out. I got this last year, last year, and I may watch it pretty soon too. I just love Chris Jericho. And Shawn Michaels' Heartbreak, Shawn Michaels' story, the Heartbreak and Triumph. This was the first real comprehensive DVD look at Shawn Michaels' career, biography from many of his, closest friends and people that's worked with him in the business. This was released in 2007, and it's a great DVD. Great comprehensive story of Shawn Michaels. You can just really see how Shawn Michaels has just went from being the young, flashy boy toy into the showstopper, and to what he was in his last stint in WWE, just the man and a guy who people in the locker room could look up to, and just one of the all-time great in-ring performers. As far as in the ring, Shawn Michaels is easily top 10 of all time in my opinion. And I got some DVDs on the ground here. Now these are the DVDs. The other ones, as you noticed, were more of the box DVDs that have multiple discs. Now here are some of my other favorite ones. I gotta go through these very quickly. Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen, awesome. Definitely in my top 10 DVDs. Great piece for anyone wanting to know about the formation and the legacy of what is, without question, the greatest group in wrestling history, the Four Horsemen. Without JR, as JR states in this DVD, without the Four Horsemen, there would be no NWO, no Generation X. So, excellent DVD with a ton of great matches and features on it. Heroes of World Class, the best non-WWE produced wrestling DVD ever. This is the real story of World Class Championship Wrestling, one of the best wrestling promotions ever of the 80s. As you can see right here, Dave Meltzer, Wrestling Observer, a must-see. And if you're a wrestling fan, you must see this to find out the story of one of the most vibrant, explosive wrestling territories of all time. Now, on the flip side, not complete flip side in a bad sense, but this is the WWE version. Now, this came out, Heroes came out in 2006. This came out, WWE's version, the Triumph and Tragedy of World Class Championship Wrestling, came out in 2008, and it's a great DVD as well. And if you're a fan of World Class Championship Wrestling, I recommend you get both of them because they both tell a great story. But if you had to get one, I would definitely choose Heroes. But this is a great story though. Great story of just a wrestling dynasty that we will likely never see again, anything like it, and just how this World Class just rose to such great heights in the 80s, and then when they crashed, they fell hard. Mr. Perfect. Now this was a DVD I was anticipating for a very long time. I finally got it a few months ago and was not disappointed. Mr. Perfect was one of the best in-ring performers of the late 80s and early 90s in all of pro wrestling, and this DVD just chronicles his career from his early days in the AWA through his WWE tenure, WCW, until his untimely demise in 2002. And one of the more emotional DVDs, as you hear guys like, Ric Flair, Chris Jericho, Hulk Hogan, several of the office staff in WWE, Arn Anderson, Michael Hayes, as well as his father, his son, the current Michael McGillicuddy in WWE. Just a lot of people just reflect on just what made, Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, one of the all-time best at what he did. Brian Pillman, Loose Cannon, one of the more unique DVDs in WWE history, and also this would have to rank as the best of DVD of a single wrestler. Came out in 2006, and anyone who knows anything about Brian Pillman knows that he was one of the most unpredictable and craziest guys ever in the business. You just get to find out, how this small kid you know, came from football into the wrestling business, into WCW, and how he created one of the most intense personas that the wrestling business has ever seen, and how a lot of that probably contributed to his early death in 1997 at the age of 35. But and this is a great DVD for Steve Austin fans too, because Austin, many of you all know, Brian Pillman was Steve Austin's best friend in the wrestling business, and Austin, Paul Heyman, Jim Ross, and several others let loose very candidly their thoughts on Brian Pillman. And the last two, another unique DVD, so far the only burial DVD in company history, Self-Destruction of Ultimate Warrior. This came out in 2005, and the title says it all. Self-Destruction. This DVD is basically about everyone in the company who was on this DVD, which was Vince McMahon, Hulk Hogan, Bobby Heenan, Sergeant Slaughter, and lots of other, of his running mates from the early 90s, just bashing into him. So funny. The funny DVD is good, and it's funny, but it's also, good, because you really get to find out why the Ultimate Warrior was one of the biggest stars in WWE for that period. But very odd DVD. And my final one, The Road Warriors. The life and death of the most dominant tag team in wrestling history, and that says it right there. I mean, anyone who knows their wrestling knows that when it comes to influence, money made, and major championships won, I mean, the Road Warriors were without question the greatest tag team of all time. This is a great DVD. Now, this DVD was one of the first that came out during the, I guess what I like to call it, WWE's DVD renaissance, when they started releasing just excellent DVDs from different wrestling territories and different parts of wrestling history. And this is very good. Very good DVD. If you're into tag team wrestling, and really watching this DVD is more important than ever, considering the state of tag team wrestling in 2012. You just really get to see, and even through the extras, which there are so many matches on this DVD, it's ridiculous, but you just really get to see how big tag team wrestling was as a whole in the 1980s and what these guys contributed to it. And I think I had one. I had ECW DVD, and that's probably the best DVD of all time in WWE. I thought I have it somewhere, but it must be somewhere else, which I don't have access to. But I guess with that, I will wrap this up. Like I said, I will continually try to get better about posting new videos. I got a full-time job coming up. Praise God. I had my interview last week, got the job in the position. It starts on May 21st. So I guess this week I'll try to put up a lot more videos, since from this moment on out I probably won't be able to, except for on Saturdays and Sundays, and probably Saturdays, since that's going to probably be my free day of the week from here on out. So I'm going to try to post some more videos. I do have another belt which should be on the way in about, hopefully, 2 months. I definitely plan to have it by August, and it was by far will probably be my top wrestling belt ever. But I'm looking very much forward to it. I have it on a layaway plan. I think I have maybe 2 or 3 more payments to make on it, so just looking very much forward to it. And going to try to, of course, post some anime stuff. I know a lot of anime fans, have liked my last 2 or 3 videos I posted on anime and manga related things. So I'm going to try to do some more of that. And of course, more wrestling stuff. I have a ton more, wrestling figures.